stop focusing criticism of Kamala Harris on the areas of relationships, race, or nationality. It is a fool's game. You're playing directly into the hands of her handlers, of the DNC, of the Democratic Party elites. Every time you bring up the issue, is Kamala Harris really black? Every time you bring up the issue where her mama come from India, her daddy from Jamaica, she don't sound like ADOS to me, American descendant of slaves. All you're doing is playing into the narrative that Kamala Harris is a victim.
I want to push your timeline back a little bit. We first saw there's a small group of black cybersecurity specialists and me started seeing these birther attacks on Kamala Harris last September when she launched her presidential bid. And that's where this whole, are you a real descendant of an African-American family or an African-American slave started popping up. It dipped until about January. You did a segment on your show, and then we saw this explosion of real people. They're not all bots. They are real people. They're trolls who are this small fractional fringe group led by a former black conservative, and that was picked up quickly by other conservatives. And then we started seeing the automated, non-organic cyber amplification of their message. And then when the discussion about reparations came out, their entire argument is crazy. The argument is when you were picked up on that slave ship from Western Africa, and if you were dropped off in Curacao or in Dominica or Bahamas or Jamaica, then you are less of a black than a slave who was dropped off in Charleston, South Carolina.
I know, it makes no sense. But this is what you must know. That's a battle you can't win. You can't win the battle of if someone's black enough or white enough or Latino enough. It gets reduced down to just being a smear. And why would you need to do it when we have so much material on Kamala Harris that shows her hypocrisy, that she is more regressive than progressive, that her unethical actions as a prosecutor and as an attorney general of California show that her inability to be a true fighter for the average working person, that all the way from when she let Steve Mnuchin off, didn't prosecute him after his company foreclosed illegally, fraudulently foreclosed on thousands of poor people's homes, all the way up to when she didn't want the clinician in a lab, a police lab, to be kicked out, terminated, and the cases re-examined due to the fact that the lab worker was a crackhead who had compromised numbers of samples and evidence that could have wrongfully sent many people to jail. But you allow, once again, for Kamala Harris to play victim, for people like Joy Reid to make the argument that, well, you just don't like her because she's black, so you must be trolls or Russian bots, or even worse, angry conservatives. You know, I'm going to do a series of videos unpacking various issues with Kamala Harris. But we're going to start today with just one. And that one is prisons. California prisons. See, once upon a time, there was so much overcrowding in California prisons that the judges, federal judges, determined that you have to let some people go. Kamala Harris, you've done a great job. You've done such a great job of locking up black people and poor people and Latino brown people and poor white people that we're at the point where, well, we ain't got nowhere to put these people. You need to let some people go. Taking a page from Kamala Harris, let's make sure we're really, really clear. No, let's be really, really clear. The federal judges didn't rule that they wanted to release prisoners because they were just being nice and charitable. They ruled that they need to release some prisoners because it was a crisis. There was too many prisoners. It became a health crisis. Now, Kamala Harris's office argued against releasing the prisoners. And I know what you're thinking. Maybe they argued against releasing the prisoners because, hey, these people were violent criminals, would be a danger to society to have these people on the streets for any reason. No, that's not why. If you thought that, you'd be wrong. They argued against releasing the prisoners because it would cost us money. Because, well, we are making so much money off of these prisoners because we don't have to hire regular people. We don't have to hire people at minimum wage. We don't have to hire the general public to do these jobs. See, these prisoners were working as trustees or as, groundskeepers, janitors, cooks, and firefighters. They were being paid as little as 8 cents to 37 cents per hour. And Lord knows, California didn't want to have to actually pay Californians to do these jobs. Now, eventually, they were overruled and prisoners were released. That's not the point. The point is, we had to fight to get that done. Now, what was Kamala Harris's response after this became front page news back when the story broke? Utter shock. Up until then, she had no idea that they had employees or they had this many prisoners working or that they weren't releasing prisoners because they had jobs. She acted as if she had no control over her office and that people speaking on behalf of her office were speaking out of turn and making up stuff. I wonder, did she fire these people who she says misspoke about the desires of the Attorney General's office? I don't remember hearing about anybody getting fired who supposedly didn't inform her about how her office ran business or conducted business. See, this is why we must focus on these types of issues, because these are irrefutable. These are factually documented issues, not things based on your emotions or based on what you think about what kind of music Kamala listened to, or if she a real sister, if she really down. This is about unethical action. What we have is a buffet table full of issues that could be served up one by one, that lay out a case why Kamala Harris may not be the right person to be president of the United States. And instead of us focusing on that, we're giving them ammunition to run interference, to talk about other issues, to paint Kamala as a victim when she's not a victim. Listen to how they portrayed it in CNN, where they compare black folks question Kamala Harris and if she has any solidarity with American descendants of slaves or black people. Look how they compare this to birtherism, where Donald Trump, said that Obama may not be American citizens, as if the two things have anything in common.
Well, there's another birther conspiracy, similar to that of former President Barack Obama, some might say. It's crossing the internet, but this time Senator and presidential hopeful Kamala Harris is the target. So
here's what happened. During Thursday's Democratic presidential debate, Donald Trump Jr. retweeted a Harris critic that questioned her identity. Well, Trump Jr. then deleted the retweet, but not before it was seen by his millions of followers. Harris's campaign has compared the comment to that birtherism conspiracy from President Trump against President Obama.
Kamala Harris is a black woman in America, and they don't understand that there are a large number of mixed race people in this nation who are black, and they don't understand that. Yeah, and that's a problem.
The last thing we need to do is to give Dr. Jason, April Ryan, Joy Reid, Zelina Maxwell, the whole lot of them, the ability to misdirect and focus on other issues and not the historical record of Kamala Harris. And if their real goal is to offer a candidate who can truly defeat Donald Trump, the issues like the one I just brought up should be addressed and addressed fairly, because you best believe if she were to become the nominee, they would be addressed. Follow me at Real Tim Black on Facebook and Twitter. Become a member of my Wolf Pack today. Let's get it right, people.